Okay, ninos, tonight we're going to look at the opposite of absolutism in Europe, Europe's limited governments. So as I just said, a limited government is the opposite of an absolute monarchy. In absolute monarchy, as you know, the leader has unlimited power, absolute power. So in a limited government, the leader has some type of limit on his or her power, meaning that this person shares power with other groups of people. There are two big examples of limited governments in Europe during this time. The first is the Dutch Republic in the Netherlands, and the second is the constitutional monarchy of England. Tonight we will be looking at the Dutch Republic, and the rest of the week in class we will be reading about England. Okay, so some quick background on the Netherlands. In the Dutch Republic you have 7 states, and these 7 states are all considered Dutch states. However, they do have a fair amount of independence, okay? They are all Dutch, but they're also all unified, and they're all completely equal. There's one big federal assembly in the Dutch Republic with 7 votes, so that means each Dutch state gets 1 vote, which is good because there's never a tie. Each Dutch state has a leader that they elect. This is more like a governor. It's called a stadtholder. In addition to being a governor, it's also more of a military general as well. So it's the person who will represent the state both politically and militarily. But remember, this person's elected. So the idea here is that you don't have a king, you have an elected representative for each of the 7 states. So you have 7 stadtholders at the same time. And as I said, this person leads the state politically, so this person is presiding over the local assembly. Now within the 7 states you have major cities, so the cities also have local councils or assemblies as well. In these local city councils you have men of all classes, so you have a fair amount of equality here that you don't see in other countries in Europe at this time. While all social classes were represented, there are really 3 groups that will come to dominate. This includes the urban merchants, so the people who are making money through trade. It includes the militia, so the people who are defending the cities, those who have military power. And then lastly, the rural nobility, the people who own a lot of land. Now there are many positives to the Dutch Republic. The first is that it prevents one person from becoming too powerful. If you go back to it, if you remember, notice that there are a lot of different assemblies, meaning there are a lot of different people who are participating in this government, right? So there are 7 states. Each state elects a stadtholder. Each state has a state assembly, and then all the cities within that state also have assemblies. So you're really sharing a lot of power among many different groups of people. Now, just because it's designed not to make one person more powerful than the rest, it doesn't mean that it actually happens all the time, okay? Because there can be a stadtholder from a powerful state who was treated like the most powerful person in the Dutch Republic. So the system isn't perfect. However, legally, you have a lot more sharing of power than you do in any other country in Europe. And as I said a minute ago, this style of government involves more people than any other European government at the time. Now, think about this. How could this be a good thing? And how could this also be a bad thing? Now, the Dutch are known for many things during this time period. The first is that they are one of the first countries in Europe to have a stock market, and this is in Amsterdam. So this is a place where Europeans could very easily buy or sell shares of stock. This is a famous painting from this period in Dutch history called Stock Market in Amsterdam by Emmanuel Witte. Notice all the cool hats. One of the groups that uses the Amsterdam stock market to their advantage is called the Dutch East India Company. This is a joint stock company like we learned about last chapter, And this is a group that can raise money very easily for long-distance voyages. So what they do is they would sell shares in their company, and they would go on these long-distance voyages to places such as Southeast Asia or also to the New World to collect valuable trading items. They'd bring these items back to Europe, they would sell them for lots of money, and then you would get a return on your investment. So if you invested in this company, you would make money off one of these journeys even if you didn't go on the journey. Okay, so since you bought stock in the Dutch East India Company, you could become rich. Now if you look at this map, you can see where the Dutch have trading outposts around the world. Now the Dutch aren't known for having the largest empire in the world. However, they're known for having a very profitable empire because of what they're trading. Okay, and this is primarily spices from Southeast Asia, today what is Indonesia. But if you look here, you can see that they really have places all over the world because they build the best boats in the world. They have the best navigators. They have the best ship captains. The Dutch at this time were called the universal carriers. So they're sort of like the FedEx or UPS of the world at this time. If you needed something shipped, they would ship it for you, but they would obviously charge you for it. And here you have an old painting of Dutch East India Company ships in action. You can tell that they're Dutch by looking at the flag at the very top of the mast. This is a famous Dutch East India ship called the Amsterdam, and it's located where? Yes, in Amsterdam. So all of this trading success brought a lot of wealth and luxury to the Netherlands. And this can be seen in the fact they had the highest standard of living of any European civilization or society at the time. Since the Dutch don't have a king, when it comes time to spending all of this money, they spend it on the people. Okay? So whereas if we looked at France, we know that Louis XIV made all this money in mercantilism and trade, and he spent it on himself at Versailles. However, since the Dutch don't have something like that, they spend the money on their people. 3 examples of this would be, first, they built a huge city hall in the middle of Amsterdam that really looks like a castle. However, it's open to the public because it is a public building. It's built for the people of Amsterdam. They also put in public street lights. These are gas-based street lights, but this cuts down on crime in Amsterdam and the other major cities of the Netherlands. So again, that's an increase in standard of living. And lastly, they are the first to build this huge public grain storage. And so this means that during crop failures, they have so much food that is stored away that literally people don't starve. So again, you can really see how the Dutch are taking care of their people during this time period. And this right here is the big city hall in Amsterdam. To get a scale, look how small the people are versus how big the city hall is. So remember, this isn't a castle, this isn't a fortress, this is for the people.
Adios, niños.